Hello guys, welcome to my channel Adamant Algorithm. This is Suren. In this video we are going to learn about arrays. So what are arrays? Let's see them with an analogy. So here, as far as arrays are concerned, I would say an array is just a collection. So this is how we normally declare a single variable object in Unity C#. For example, it can be public or private, and this is the data type that we are declaring. I am the variable type, and this is the type of the name of the variable. And if it is going to be an array, so it can be either public or private. I would prefer public, and I'll come back to it soon, why it is very important. And the game object, which is the type of the variable, the one which gives it away as an array is these two symbols, square brackets. Okay, so this represents that this variable type is an array, and as usual you actually give a meaningful name for a variable. And as you can see the examples here, and this is a single variable, and an array is nothing but a collection of variables with multiple values of the same type. Now let's go ahead and see what are arrays with an example. By the way, before I start, let me tell you, I'm going to explain arrays in this video from my own experiences where I would normally use arrays for. I would prefer arrays whenever I want to handle a multiple game objects, like destroying them, deleting them, get the value from them, sorting them, these kind of things. And that's where I find arrays are very powerful, and that's how the perspective of this video has been set. So I think it would be useful for you guys as well, as especially as a beginner. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and see them. I will come back to this example later, so I'm gonna switch this off. For now, I just have one array handler, which is an empty game object, and as you can see, I don't have any components attached at the moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and add a component, which is obviously a script. I'm gonna say just array script should be okay. Okay, new script, create an add. Let's wait until it compiles. Okay, it's done. So let's double click and go ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna just remove the things that we don't need. Okay, let's declare an array. So what if the declaration of an float or integer looks like? It looks like public integer, the square brackets represents it's an array, like my numbers is equal to curly brackets, and you give the values you want, and at the end don't forget the semicolon. So this is how you declare an integer but in the type of array. But in this example I'm going to use a game object. So for that, public game object, put the square brackets to make it as an array. My array objects, that's a long name, is equal to, so how to initialize it is, this is how you initialize. Well, let me quickly explain it. So the public is it's the public or private which decides whether we can able to see this information in editor or not. And the game object is a type of a variable, and this is very important because this is what makes this variable data type array, and this is the name which I have given is equal to, we are saying it's going to be a new game object array, and this space is very important because this is where you actually declare the number of items you want. Please do remember, in arrays, in general programming, the number starts with 0. Okay, we don't normally count 1, 2, 3. No, we actually start from 0. So if you want 5 elements, if you want 5 elements in total, so please remember that your last number will be 4 because we are starting from 0. So if you want to have 5 elements in your game object, all you have to do is, please don't make any mistake, you should actually say 5. Okay, and there you go. So let's go ahead and see this piece of code, how it reflects. Now I told you that I will explain why it is public, right? Just because this is public, it's easy for us to see in the inspector. Can you see? This is the array, and this arrow mark represents there are items that are hidden, not hidden, just rolled up. Okay, and this number is nothing but what you have given here. Okay, so if you make it 0, that will make 0 objects in the list, and these are the elements 1. As I mentioned before, as we can see, the numbering starts from 0, so the last number is 4, and we have 5 items in total. And since it's a game object, what this area can take in is only game object, which means you can drag in any game object that you have in your scene in order to process it using an array. Okay, so let's go again. So I'm gonna make it 3. Okay, and come back here. So for explaining purposes, what I'm gonna do is I have a prefab of this, and I have a prefab of this yellow dice, which I will use it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just drag the yellow dice, and I'm gonna name it north, south, west. Okay, about east, I'm so sorry, just 3 of it. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I just go to the array handler and I made it 3. So here it's gonna be 3. I'm gonna drag in this north, this south, and this west. So in the console, what I'm gonna do is when I run it, first of all, these little yellow color diamonds have scripts attached to them, and that's why they are jumping and falling, so don't mind them. Okay, we are not looking at the game window now. We are looking at one of the very powerful concept in declaration of arrays called dot length. Okay, so that's exactly what we are gonna see right now. So in here, what I'm gonna print is I would like to print the names of those 3 objects when I start the game. So the thing is, I'm gonna say debug.log. Okay, the name of the element is, sorry, not name. We will go for, I'm gonna just print the count, which is the length of the array. That's it. The length of my array is, so in here I need to print my array length. So what this happens is, this is the length I'm talking about. Okay, and if you go ahead in here, it will see how many objects we have, and we can able to print it out. Press the play button. See, my length of array is 3 because we have 3 things connected over here. So I'm gonna make it 5. Can you see? It's actually 5. So what happens ultimately is, you might think, okay, what kind of stupid technology is this? Well, basically, now you know how many elements you have added into the array. But there are certain situations, most of the times, you would be finding objects from your scene and adding it dynamically into your array at the runtime. At the time, you have no idea what you are doing. The best analogy and the best example would be, since you are a player, you are playing, there will be number of enemies trying to attack or entering the scene. At the time, you might have a special power. When you press the space bar, you will release a wave of that power towards all enemies. At the time, what would you do is, if you have an array, just find all the enemy objects in the scene and put them into an array and reduce the length of the array, health of the array objects -5. So what happens at the time is, it's very efficient when it comes to memory. Okay, I'll show you that example as well, but not so sophisticated example right now, but I will try to explain with multiple objects. Now, going back here, all I wanted to show is just this length means it will print the current length of the array, which means the current number of items that is inside the array. So let's go ahead and see the names. For example, in here, instead of length this time, I want to actually print the name. At the time, I can go for debug.log. Okay, the name of this object is, so what we would say is, first, now the name of this object, we have 3 objects in our array. So how to find out one particular element? and that's where that's where the index number comes in. For example, my array objects is an array. In the bracket you can mention what is the index. Index means the order. Okay, now we have three items, which is 0, 1 and 2. So what would be the name of the first one, or third one, or second one? I will go for number 1. Please remember, number 1 comes second because the numbering starts from 0. Okay, start name. Okay, let's go ahead and see. Let it to compile. Okay, oops. Okay, so what happens is, this is the arrow handler. This element 1, which is what we are trying to print, its name is South. Let's see whether it prints the same. See, it's done. So there must be a huge question for you now. Okay, if I know the index, it's fine. Then how can I print all the names? Or from the element 0 to whatever element is ending? Well, the best thing is, whenever if you want to do the same operation to all the items that in the array, I would always go for loop. Okay, that's how the technical people used to say loop through the array, loop through the array. When they say it, they actually mean do the same thing to all the elements of the array until you runs out of the array elements. So that's how to do that. It's often confusing for beginners, but let me just break it down to you. I think I can. Let's see. Okay, forget about this number. I'm gonna just make it 0 for now. Okay, so let's go about this. The syntax of the for loop is for, and that's the syntax. I is the iterator, so I is 0. If I, the length of I is less than my array objects dot length. Okay, which means whatever the length of your array is, if it is lesser than number, this loop will keep on going. By the way, if you would like to know more about how the different type of loops work in C# Unity, I've already done a specific tutorial on comparing all the loops that are available in C#. If you look at the top right of your screen, you can see the card displaying as an information now. If you click that, that will take you straight to my tutorial on the loops. Okay, that being said, now for integer I, which means I is equal to 0, I is lesser than my objects, and I++, what we're going to do is we're going to do that until we run out of all the things. Please do that. The name of the object is, so this time what I'm going to do is plus my array objects. I stands for whatever the index number is, because that's what we are iterating with, okay, in the for loop. Dot name. And this line of code will be executed by the for loop again and again until we run out of the elements that are stored inside our array. So if our array's length is 5, this will run 5 times, okay, and so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and see. Let's wait until it compiles. Let me click play button. There you go. So now you see the loop went through the first element and printed the name, and the loop went again, okay, and it again, because it did not run out of it. After that, the number of elements is equal to I in the for loop, and that's why the loop stopped. So this is how you can iterate through all the elements that are stored inside an array. Okay, so what's next? Okay, let's see another great technique that we can use with array. How to store the game objects that are in your current scene into an array. Okay, for that, let's go ahead. Let's delete these things. Alright. So how to get all the game objects that are in our scene? Well, I used to get this most of the time because I will iterate through the game object which I need at time, but I usually get most of the game object except the main camera in it. So as a beginner level, let me tell you quickly with the simple most code. So for that, we need to store my array objects is equal to, so what we are going to store in our array, we need to find our type. For example, game object dot, we need to find game objects of type. So what are the types that we are looking for? Game object, where in our current scene. So what this single line of code will go, it will find out what are the game objects that are available in your scene, and it will store inside the array the name myArrayObjects. So let's go ahead and see whether it works. Okay, let's click on play. Cool. Can you see? Even though size was 3 before, it did not care because that single line of code saw what are the game objects that are available, and it actually put everything in here, including the object. Okay, so everything has been stored in the array. So this would be very effective when you actually want to quickly grab control of an object in your scene and iterate it through the for loop and just do whatever you want to do with that piece of game object. Now, so what are the other things that you could do with the array? So let's see quickly. In relation to what we have seen just now, and there is one more type of command called find game objects with the tag. I find myself often using this because it's very effective. Well, how it works is, basically you guys might have known that you can have a tag which you can able to find items in C# coding. Well, basically, just let me get rid of these two. Okay, in the yellow dice, open the prefab. As you can see, this prefab I have actually tagged as pickups. Okay, because I'm going to use this name in my array or in my C# script to find these items in the inspector. So what I'm going to do is, I have this little spawner. You might be wondering from the starting why I have this object. I have a very small spawner script that is attached to this, and what it does is it will spawn this yellow dice prefab, and it just throws a little bit above it, and I have some pads in here. Okay, like my spawner will actually throw the stuff and it falls down. Let me show you. Oh, I'm so sorry. The script is not enabled. Yeah, oh, sorry. Oh, God. Yeah, okay. So what happens is, when the game starts to play, yeah, it's throwing some objects from the prefab. As you can see, these things are happening. Let me just pause this game, and you might notice that all these objects are tagged pickups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an array, and I'm going to add all these guys into my array for further processing. This is what exactly I was talking about before, having more number of enemies in your scene. You can grab all of them together, no matter whether they are spawned, whether they are entering the scene, whether they are about to die, whether they are just fresh starting, no matter. Okay, so how to do that is, let's go ahead here. I'm gonna have a command saying my array objects is equal to find game objects, game objects dot find game object with tag. I have given pickups, correct? So what happens is, if I go here, okay, I'll just play it. And you see, this should not happen at the moment. See, even though there are things are spawning here, but this array size is not changing. You might wondering why it is. Exactly, it's because it's in the start function. You know, start function, these commands will run only one time. So once it's finished running it, after that the objects are being spawned. So obviously it's not get into the into the array. But if you can put that into the update function, let's go ahead and see. Let it to compile. I'll click the play button. Wait for a while. As you can see, as soon as an object is spawned, it's been added to our array, so at any point of time you can grab all these things from your memory and do whatever you want to do. This one is very effective to use, but please be aware what happens is declaring find objects with tag and find objects type in an update function it's not actually optimized. In a long run, if your game is really heavy, I think it's not a correct way of implementing it. There are a lot of other advanced ways. We will come back to it when we actually move to intermediate series and advanced series. For now, actually, I just wanted to show you how an array can be used dynamically. On that note, I have one more thing to say. If this is the situation you want to use, please use lists rather than array. Both of them are very similar. I will do a video on list also very quick. But for now, please understand how the start function and the update function affects the functionality of arrays. Now, last but not the least, since I have this set up, so I'm going to show you quickly how to deal with this declaration of anything that you want to do. For example, by mistake I actually deleted it. Control V. So what happens is I have this, right? For example, after grabbing into an array, what can be done? For that, I wanted to give an example. So I'm going to say if input dot get mouse button down. If it is 0 means if it is left click. If someone clicks the left click, what you need to do is so grab this guy, Control X, put it over here. Let's make the condition reverse. For example, if someone clicks left mouse button, I want to find all the game object currently in my scene with the tag pickups, and I want to delete them. First of all, deleting is not very simple because I told you if you want to access all the items in an array, you have to iterate through them. So I'm going to use a for loop, which I showed before. So for if I is greater, obviously the length of it, which means my array objects dot length. So what I'm going to do is destroy my array objects. So whatever the index number is, whatever the index number is, which is I. Go through them, which is game object. What I actually did is when someone click the left mouse button, I'm gonna find all my objects that are tagged as pickups, and I'm going through the loop and I'm gonna find out, for example, if there are 15 items, I will go 15 times and delete them one by one. It might be an exhausting task to hear, but Unity is very fast, of course your system as well, and it can able to perform this set of codes in a jiffy. So let's go ahead and see. Let's click play. Let's wait until the objects spawn. What did I do wrong? Oh yeah, it's correct. Because I put that code inside the mouse button, it happens only when I click the mouse button. See what happens? Let me just show you. Sorry, I just clicked it very soon. I'm gonna wait until there are enough items that actually falls and segregates. For now, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we have 6 items. When I click left mouse button, all these items are, since they are tagged as pickups, they will be got into this array, and the next second they will be deleted. See, that's it. See, missing object. Now what happens is, again, it will be start storing here. When I click left mouse button, all these objects will be taken into the array and instantly deleted. So this is just an example. Alright, you can do this for anything that you want. If you want to reduce the health of all the enemies, or if you want to make all the powers disappear, or a certain type of walls collapse, or if you want to open all the doors in the scene with the green color on, it's impossible. Whatever, there are a lot of possible ways you can able to make use of this. Alright, So that's what I wanted to actually tell you about the arrays. There are several things that you can able to do with the arrays, but as far as my experience goes, this is how I efficiently use array, and I find myself often using arrays for my game objects. Okay, so hope this video actually helps you guys, and if you have come this far in this video, you might like the content of the channel and this video as well. So please do subscribe and support me, and I will make sure to bring a lot of easy logic items, easy to do logical items for you guys to follow. And I will see you guys again in my next video, and until then, it's bye from Suren. Have a nice day. Bye bye guys.